Frightened by a gap in speech because it filled up with the churning of the waters behind the cave, Lou asked Owen what he knew of his daughter. "Nothing," he said. "Her mother stopped writing to me 12 years ago. Really, I don't even know whether she's alive or dead." "Did you love Natalie's mother?" "Yes, I did." "And did she love you?" "She said she did, but she wouldn't leave and come away with you." "She had one child already and she loved her husband." "So you love your daughter and you never see her?" "Yes." "And can you do anything for her?" "Her mother wouldn't let me. She said Natalie must never know, not even when her mother and father and the man she thinks is her father are dead, must she ever know." "But those photographs on your mantelpiece, they're not there usually. I only put them out every now and then. And when you appeared so suddenly that day, I left them there for you to see. No one else sees them." Lou dwelled on Natalie, on her mother, and on the man she called her father. She felt anxious for them, as though they had been entrusted into her thinking and were vulnerable. They floated on a lie. The truth, falling from heaven, would sink them. Lou imagined them floating on the surface of the underground, roaring in a bubble, and bubbles in hundreds, meanwhile, rode out through the slit on the cold, rapid slide of water, lasting in the lighter darkness until they popped. And warm against the man, Lou must have slept and breathed with him a little of the air shipped out from inside in those hemispheres. Some while later, sleeping very near the surface and the waters under the earth seeming louder and louder, Lou became aware that Owen was speaking, but to whom, if anybody, and whether in his sleep or waking, she could not have said. The voice was close and rapid, and even if she were indeed the one addressed, still it felt like eavesdropping. She could not unhear it, any more than she could unsee the sight of him through the garden window the day she suddenly appeared. The words and the sight accrued to her like a power she had not sought but could not disavow. Perhaps he had been speaking for some time, and only now, surfacing through their broken sleep, could she hear and understand. "I was very young," he said, "and perhaps when she said she would keep the baby a secret, though I did love her, in some part of me I thought, this lets me off, I can start again and live my life on my own and no harm done. I suppose a woman always knows how much she will love her baby, but perhaps a man does not, even if it's a love child. Perhaps he can't imagine how he will love his child and be loved by her or him and be fastened in lifelong." "Or perhaps he can," said Lou. "Perhaps he sees as well as the woman he slept with sees, and so you didn't insist very much when she said the best for all concerned would be you kept her secret and go away." "We kept in touch. She wrote me letters once a year at least. And then soon after Natalie's 18th birthday came that photograph and a note she was starting art school in Newcastle on a certain day. I stood 5 mornings there. It was only on the 3rd I saw her, and on the 4th and 5th again. That last day was very bad. I saw her and it went through me. I thought, will I ever see the girl again? I left the place. I was almost running down the street away. And then I stopped and turned and walked very slowly back, and there she was, coming out again through the big glass doors, with a look on her face as though she had forgotten or remembered something, and stood on the top step looking down at me into my eyes in a puzzled sort of shock. And when I think of it now, there was nobody else around, only her and me, and the noise of the street, or in my heart and head was like the noise in there, in the dark, behind that slit. After that, her mother never wrote to me again, and I kept my side of the bargain and never tried to learn about her further life. "Funny to think of her," said Lou, "going her ways in the world and you going yours and never crossing. If there was a God with nothing to do, he might have amused himself with your lines of life." "Yes," said Owen. "I read of a man who met his daughter abroad somewhere and fell in love with her and neither knew. They slept together on an island for a week or so, and he begged her to marry him, and it was only when she agreed and they went home that piece by piece the evidence of who they were came in." "Is that what you're frightened of?" Lou asked. "You've seen her, you've got her photograph. It could never happen." "Not like that, it couldn't. Not like the man on the island," said Owen. "Not in ignorance." Lou pondered this. The cave too, so it seemed, mulled the business over, but indifferently, only as an engine, on and on. Like bubbles riding out on the fast cold water, the image of the girl looking down and the man looking up, both seeing deep into one another's eyes, became very clear to Lou, and she said, perhaps aloud, perhaps already asleep, and to a man asleep, like falling in love, I suppose, there and then, the way it happens to some people, the lightning. So go your separate ways and trail the earth apart, and you will never forget her, nor she you. She slept in Owen's arms, the furnace of cold in the innermost heart of rock, continuing to roar and to breathe little bubbles into the human world. Meanwhile, outside, above, the stars pulsed on their black infinity. Sleeping, Lou acknowledged more thoroughly than she would have cared to do in daylight that she and the noise in the dark behind the cave were old familiars. Owen had said he needed to hear it again to be reminded that such underground noise was there, but Lou, brought to the sight by him, lay sleeping listening to a thing she had known for years, and what appalled her now was how much deeper into it the soul might go. Suppose she thought, or thoughts took hold of her and swirled her round and sent her out under the squeeze of rock as bubbles into the world where humans live. Suppose it's all like that, only a mechanism, and whether we live or not it will go on, and whether he loves me or not is neither here nor there, and I might as well be the water, falling from a terrible height that he says must be beautiful, if something nobody sees can be called beautiful. Dread filled her up. The trembling took hold of her. Deeply asleep, she felt even closer to the noise, deeper down in it, staring to see and seeing nothing, eyes wide open and seeing not a thing, but knowing that creatures were in there with her, white as death, white as the underbelly of a flatfish, big, flat, fast and blind, their eyes over millions of years of useless effort having evolved away. Lou tried her best to answer back. She babbled all she knew by heart, and many good new things occurring to her while she slept. She pitched them all in her small human voice against the never-to-be-exhausted fund of noise within the cave. Then, failing, so she felt, defeated, she gave up making sentences and screamed, widened her eyes and screamed and screamed.